Every time I hear these different jingles, I get a big giggle out of this. So,
Yay!
Well, ever since I saw you in your bedroom eyes on, I'm going to say it was Brian Williams' show, I have thought of you. But I'm thinking of you every day now, just with. You must just be losing your shizzle watching this House Clown Caucus investigating the investigators of January 6th, trying to turn all of this on its head, this ridiculous nothing story about the Biden classified documents, trying to both sides it with what Trump did. Just as a national security matter alone, this must drive you insane.
yeah, well, it absolutely does. And it's not like we weren't warning this about a year in advance, where I said what would happen. Jason Johnson, I love telling this story. He made this prediction back in June 2021 that if they were to take over, they would not only investigate the investigators, but that they would immediately start looking to impeach Joe Biden. And now they've started talking about that yesterday,
Yeah.
about impeaching Joe Biden, impeaching Secretary Mayorkas at Department of Homeland Security. Look, I have a new Substack article coming out where I evaluate this. What we have is a group of people that are the equivalent of a band of drunken monkeys with AK-47s in their hands.
Yeah.
And they are just dancing and shooting everywhere that they can go. So for the next 2 years, expect nothing but mayhem. You should just call them the Chaos Party.
Yeah. But I mean, Andrew Weissman tweeted, if Biden classified docs facts are like Trump's, then they should be treated alike. But so far, the big difference is the former is accidental and the latter quite intentional. The criminal law does not apply to accidental conduct, as every juror in a criminal trial knows. And they gave them back immediately when they realized they had them. It is the complete polar opposite of what Trump did.
Well, it doesn't matter that these things came out, and it doesn't matter no matter how innocent they were. Right now, they're talking about starting hearings to find out how and why Joe Biden took these documents. They are trying to make a false equivalency, which they're going to be successful in, because I'm sorry, U.S. news media is exceptionally lazy.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was CNN that came out with the chart side by side, extolling that Joe Biden had taken, these documents were found in Joe Biden's office. They weren't. They were in a closet from 8 years ago. Look, we know documents move. Donald Trump and his staff stole top secret documents.
Yeah.
Stole them. Took them deliberately from the SCIFs. And if you look at some of the documents, and the New York Times has a very brilliant analysis of the paper documents, there were in some instances dozens upon dozens of folders, transmission folders that show that something was in that folder when it left the White House, and it could possibly have been destroyed. These are the difference between potential espionage, severe violations of, the mishandling of government documents, and theft, quite possibly sale of defense intelligence information of the United States, and somebody who, in the sweep of millions of documents came back and said, hey, we have these.
Yeah.
I can tell you something. This stuff happens.
Yeah.
One time in my multi-decade career, I took a medical record out with me to go have a medical checkup. And inside there were classified notes from a top secret mission that I was on. And I had to come back, went right to the special security office, said, hey, you guys have this stuff in my medical record. They looked at it, they made me sign a disclosure, took it out of my medical record, handed it back to me, and sent me on my way.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Joe Biden. With Snowden, right?
Yeah.
He went in, stole the documents, intended to use them, and then got caught, had to refuse to give them back, and the Justice Department had to raid his private residence. That's the difference.
Yeah. By the way, I love when you snap back at him on Twitter.
Yeah.
He tweeted, I swear these new wave info warrior types see the hidden hand of the Kremlin as the reason they got shorted a McNugget. Totally lost. And you said, Snowden, you literally eat, live, and breathe at the sufferance of Russian intelligence. If Vladimir Putin made you walk out a window, you'd happily tweet the CIA did it on your way down. No wonder you suck Putin dry. He's your life force.
Oh my God. And that's, when I do those things, I'm actually in my super rant mode. But absolutely correct. This man joined the CIA and NSA by his own admission to commit espionage. He said he was going to take these documents, he was going to blow the case wide open, defected to Russia, lives in a Russian intelligence safe house. His lawyer that handles his press spokesman, all of that, are Russian intelligence officers. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing that people still see him as some sort of whistleblower. He's an effing spy for Moscow, who now tries to lecture America from a country run by an ex-KGB officer, dictator, who is mass murdering children. He's going to lecture us about what's right and what's decent in this world.
Yeah.
Shows the world is topsy-turvy. We're living in, Travis would know this. Travis, what was that crazy world that Superman lived in? Bizarro World, right?
Yeah, we're in Bizarro World.
Oh, my God.
Well, while you were at it,
you from The Flash. We're just in a bizarre alternate universe where no longer reality means anything.
Yeah.
So long as you can get out there and tweet, and Elon Musk will promote your crazy tweet from your Treasonville, right?
Yeah. Well, while you were at it, you tweeted back at Glenn Greenwald as well. Greenwald said Russiagate was and is one of the most deranged and unhinged conspiracy theories in modern times. It wasn't spread by QAnon or 4chan users, but this vast majority of media corporations, scholars, think tank frauds, New York Times, NBC's different disinformation units. And you just said, GD, Putin must pay somebody real good, or maybe it's just the taste he likes. I mean, what do you say when this is in the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Report, the lifelong Republican Mueller report? I mean, it's okay.
I'd like to say to Glenn Greenwald, there are life essences out there that are just as tasty as dictatorship, okay? You don't have to go out every time and suck up to Vladimir Putin. So what was your question?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Because first of all, we already paid, is it Matt Gaetz saying that, they're going after funding for Ukraine? I mean, what was your book, The Plot to Hack Democracy? Like, they are for, they're not for upholding democracy in Ukraine or Brazil. I mean, it is, banning all the same suspects that are in your books about Russia and the U.S. There they are, undermining democracy worldwide, right?
This is a long ball game, and every person listening to this, you need to understand this. You are the frontline soldiers in the defense of democracy. You don't listen to Stephanie Miller just for the laughs, because I do. But for the other part of it is that this is a mobilization channel. You are essentially the BBC broadcast to the Maquis, right? In World War II. You are the resistance. The problem is now there's another resistance hunting you down. Right, the conservative version of the Gestapo, and while they're at it, they don't mind destroying your entire worldview. They don't mind destroying what you believe. So you have to really take heart and really support people like Stephanie, people who are writing books out there, Tim Snyder's of the world, who are trying to warn you that it can get much worse than it is right now. Yeah. And you're about to see all of the drunk dancing monkeys with AK-47s go to town on the Constitution of the United States, led by crooks, criminals, and crazies.
Yeah. Well, someone named Richard Wolf said, were Ukraine winning, it would not need to beg for more tanks, armored vehicles, etc. Its allies would not need to give them. And you said official ruling, ignore this ignorance. Ukraine is winning this war. He doesn't seem to understand that wars consume people, equipment, and destructive products that need constant resupply, or that military technology innovation equals advantage. I mean, they are pretending like they really don't understand warfare at all.
Professor Emeritus at University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Actually, a guest on Thom Hartmann's show all the time. Where do we get these ignoramuses who claim that they are studied academics? Maybe he misspoke. Wars are, by their very nature, destructive. Right. And when they destroy things, those things must be replaced, in the continuum of the action. War expends explosive, destructive bullet shooty things, and those things must be replaced in order to maintain the initiative. In his bizarre Professor Emeritus world, And a lot of students, by the way, need some rebates.
Yeah.
In his world, you shouldn't be getting new stuff because your stuff is broken, destroyed, or breaks down on the battlefield. So he can't understand why we're giving Ukraine more artillery shells. I'll tell you why. Vladimir Putin said just recently he's going to mobilize 500,000 new troops. Well, they're going to get killed, but we need a lot more bullets. I need at least 500,000 more bullets, 1,000 more artillery rounds. This is the nature of warfare. And
Chris,
I know,
Chris,
I got to be the grass for this.
I have a guess.
Understand.
I have a guess the quote. Who said bullet shooty things need to be replaced?
That would be Malcolm Nance, because he just said that, and that is an awesome saying.
Malcolm Nance, 2023. Bullet shooty things must be replaced.
We need to carve that into a monument.
I just wanted to take a moment to mark them. Okay.
Yeah. Accurate.
All right. The Pentagon plans to bring Ukrainian troops to Oklahoma to train them on Patriot missile defense systems starting as soon as next week. The Pentagon confirmed that it will contribute to Ukraine's air defense capabilities, provide another capability to the Ukrainian people to defend themselves against Russia's ongoing aerial assaults. That's, as Biden would say, a BFD, right?
Yeah, it is. And you know what's amazing? It's in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, right? School of the Air Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you're going to start getting Oklahoma representatives and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. These two morons have two of the largest defense manufacturing factories in the world in their state that are getting ridiculously rich from replacing all of the stocks of equipment that are going to Ukraine. And still, these are the leading edge of the stupid caucus that want to defund Ukraine so that a ex-communist dictator can knock down democracy in Eastern Europe. You cannot make this story up. I swear to God, I am just shouty all the time.
We were just saying super shouty McShellface
Really
is
shouty.
back.
Yeah.
Really
I
shouty.
have to calm down.
What?
I like the energy.
Which, by the way, this ongoing insurrection and now them investigating the January 6th investigators, some right-wing moron tweeted, "Never forget that on January 6th, Pelosi rejected National Guard help. Capitol Police let the protesters in. Ray Epps, FBI, led the charge. BLM Antifa was present. Dems assassinated Ashley Babbitt. Cover-up of stolen 2020 election. 14 hours of unseen surveillance footage." And you said every word of this tweet is a lie. Every effing word. And this is what they're going to do. This is the kind of, stuff they're going to throw out.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote about my book, They Want to Kill Americans, how that the Republicans would have this strategy, and the strategy would end in retaliation and revenge.
Yeah.
And we're at that point where politically and through information warfare, it's not gaslighting. I don't want you to use the phrase gaslighting anymore. I want you to use the phrase information warfare. They are attacking your actual reality,
right,
and they are trying to convince you that everything you debate against them starts from a position of a false position, from a false start.
Yeah.
They will take a fact like the sun comes up in the morning and try to argue that, in fact, it is constantly setting, somewhere in the world, and that liberals have corrupted the sun. So you have to push back against this. Every one of you who listens to this, you're the one who has to stand up against it and say things like, hey, don't debate it with them. Stand up and say, everything you just heard here is a lie.
Yeah.
Because they can't handle that. And then the first thing they'll do is they'll come after you personally. They do not want to be contradicted. They want you to get into a rhetorical debate over this. Do not do it.
This is, by the way, Exhibit 6543, How You Come from Malcolm Nance on Twitter. Don't.